Welcome to the Geekcentric podcast. On this week's show, the next Avengers movie has landed its director. Disney Plus's Andor is getting pushed back, and now that the official trailer has been released, that's a real bummer. A24 rakes it in, and we'll see if Nate's nose grows when he lies about Guillermo del Toro's Pinocchio looking good. So join us as we discuss all this and everything else that happened this week in Geek.
Love ya. Get home safe, guys. Peace.
Hello, my name is Kevin. If you're joining us for the first time, well, we are Geekcentric, a podcast covering the world of movies, TV shows, toys, and collectibles, gaming, and all things Geekcentric. We're back with another edition of This Week in Geek, where we look at all the latest news and trailers from the Geekiverse. Of course, I can't do this alone. Joining me on the show, there are a couple of rogues who are number one on my list. They're coming at you with takes more shocking than an M. Night Shyamalan twist. As always, we've got Nate joining us, and for his first ever Twig episode, my brother Darcy Hudson. How are we doing, gents? How was everyone's long weekend?
It was good. I did a lot of chilling and board gaming with my friends. So, in my books, that's a great weekend spent.
That's a win for sure.
Yeah,
that's it, dude. I'm with your intro there about the nose growing thing. I was a bit upset, but now that I know that I'm your rogue one and only, then I am. You got me back. You got me back on the ship.
Oh, good. I did seem to maybe cross the line there. I do look forward to discussing that trailer a little bit later on.
Yeah.
For myself, Sarah and I, with the help of our lovely Justin Lawrence, did our maternity photo shoot.
Yeah.
And we got those pictures back really quickly, and they're up on the internets for everyone to see. And I think they turned out really, really well. It's always nice when you have a vision for something and it goes exactly to plan. But I find when I'm working with Justin, he can generally bring those visions to life for me.
Yeah, there's you and Sarah, you never do anything by the books, and you've got all these themed photos as well. And I was really hoping that you were going to give them to your mom, Kevin, and just show her the non-normal ones and just say, that's it. That's all we took. And I just see her in tears. But no, you definitely nailed it. I will say, though, the one that just I can't look at for too long because it just throws me off is the Trailer Park Boys one where Sarah, what character is Sarah portraying there?
She's Randy there.
Randy
eating a cheeseburger like only Randy can.
The hairy chest and the nipples. It's just I wasn't sure whether I should be like intrigued, aroused, disgusted. Like I was feeling a range of emotions looking at that picture. But yeah, I do think the rest of them are pretty fantastic.
To me, the standout is definitely Penguin. That is awesome. I love it. It turned out so well.
Yeah, and we kept it classy, and I think originally I think my mom even would have thought that we would have had like bile coming from Sarah's mouth as the character, and we definitely avoided that. But what was neat was the official Trailer Park Boys account has already retweeted a picture that I tagged them in for with the Randy and Ricky picture, so that was cool. I've gotten over 100 likes, which on Twitter for me is just unheard of. That's viral, essentially.
I can probably guarantee that the Trailer Park guys did not ever expect that their likenesses would be used for something like this, and I think that's why it's going so far. It's so, again, right up Kevin and Sarah alley, so it's perfect for you two.
Yep, no, it definitely turned out really, really well. But we've got a ton to jump into on the show, so why don't we get the show on the road and take a look at the news.
It's all about the details.
Alrighty, our first story comes from Ben Silviero at Slash Film. Everything Everywhere All at Once has become the most successful A24 film to date. Thanks to rave reviews and really to strong word of mouth, the film is held strong at the box office and eventually became indie hitmaker A24's highest grossing movie of all time. Following a recent return to theaters for another limited run, with all new introduction from the directors and 8 minutes of outtakes, the critically acclaimed tale of an exasperated laundromat owner who learns that she is the key to saving the multiverse has racked up another milestone for the studio. Now, the film starring Michelle Yeoh, Ke-Huy Quan, Stephanie Hsu, and Jamie Lee Curtis has earned the distinction of being the first A24 project to hit $100 million at the global box office. Given that the film was made on a budget of $25 million, that's huge for the studio to have quadrupled those costs. It's not just performed really well in the States, but it's done well in the United Kingdom, where it's made $6.2 million. Here in Canada, it's made $5.1 million. So it really is a global sort of milestone that's happening here. The previous top earner for A24 was Hereditary, which topped off at about $80 million worldwide, followed by Lady Bird at $78 million and Oscar-winning Moonlight at $65 million. But so the success of Everything Everywhere All at Once is also paired with the relative success of Marcel the Shell with Shoes On, which has brought in over $4 million to date on a really, really small budget. So A24 is having one hell of a year, and they still have 3 movies to come. So safe to say this is definitely a benchmark year for the studio. So I just wanted to know, Nate, I know have you seen the movie yet?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. A few times.
Perfect.
Mm-hmm.
Perfect. Now, Darce, I know you haven't.
No, everyone I know has told me to go see it. So like just hearing that it's now the number 1 earner definitely makes me want to, again, make sure I get out to go see it this time or see it as soon as possible, because I've only heard good things. And I love me a multiverse story.
Well, and given, that there were a few this year, I think this was certainly the best multiverse movie of this year, at least. And it's really great for an actress like Michelle Yeoh to finally have this role that, is really sort of introducing her maybe to new audiences, but also just sort of putting some respect on that name. You know what I mean? When you can lead a vehicle like this to the success that it's had, and really, I think, squash maybe some ideas that people might have had about what kind of role she could play. I think the movie's just done really well for her, as well as Ke-Huy Quan, who we would know from the Goonies and Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom. He's sort of had a resurgence with this movie, and it's going to be exciting to see what he chooses to do next.
Yeah, and I think that's kind of the most exciting part about this news is, I think studios outside of A24 are seeing this movie and seeing the fact that, it's not just that multiverse things are hot right now. It's the heart that went into the movie, the people that make it, how much they actually care. Seeing interviews done with the Daniels, seeing interviews done with Ke-Huy Quan as well. Shout out to Untitled Movie Podcast. They did a wonderful interview with him, and just seeing how excited he was to be not only back in a movie, but in this movie in particular, I think just speaks volumes for, why this movie was so successful or is so successful and continues to be. And I think it's again, I can't wait, like you said, to see what they're going to do next, both the Daniels as well as everyone in this cast. And I just think, again, it's one of those really interesting things where there was really not a ton of marketing for this movie. It was all word of mouth. And I think A24 has kind of found this strange pocket of marketing where that works for them. I think it's the same thing with Marcel the Shell with Shoes On. I got 8 people from my work to come see this movie about a little shell. And some of them, like maybe 2 of them, were old enough like me to know where the original short film came from on YouTube. And the rest of them were just like, what are we about to watch? Something with a shell? Like, and by the end of it, everyone's walking out with tears in their eyes and just how lovely the movie was. And I think it's kind of the same idea with Everything Everywhere. It's just these movies have a way of sort of poking through the zeitgeist, poking through the general population by word of mouth. And that's so impressive, because it's easy for a movie like a Marvel movie to make huge money because it's frickin' Marvel. A24, a lot of folks don't even know what A24 is. A lot of non-cinemaphiles don't really know about A24. So to get this kind of out in the open, I think it really is going to be fantastic. And I'm excited for this movie as well as the rest of A24's film slate to come to HBO Max, and I guess in Crave in Canada, I'm hoping, to be able to watch these. And I think that'll only push them even further towards being more accessible, because I think that's the only thing I will say that shocks me about this is how they release their movies. And they're smart about it because they release them in very limited runs at first and then widen up and widen up and widen up. Like with Marcel the Shell, I didn't get a chance to see that till well after the initial screeners were put out because they only released it in certain theaters in the States for the longest time. And then a little bit in Canada. And I'm out here in Nova Scotia and I'm like, well, I'll never get to see this movie in theaters. And thankfully it did hit its wide release. But again, it's just, I hope this starts to give A24 a little bit more confidence to be able to say, hey, listen, we don't need to take that approach necessarily. We believe wholeheartedly in this, that we can push this to a major release right away, and that would be really cool. I think it would be really killer.
I think part of their success here is, they've been known for a few years for making arguably the best horror movie of any given year that they released a movie, and I think now, with a movie like Everything Everywhere or even Marcel the Shell, it's a bit more easy for just general audiences to embrace. It's not just a horror crowd, and so I think that's going to just help with making A24 a bit more of that household name that the bigger studios have. As long as they don't jeopardize or put the quality of their work at stake there. But if you haven't seen it, definitely check it out. And if you can rent it to support, we need to support little the independent brands and make sure that they can compete with the big juggernauts like we're about to talk about in our next story. That's because we're going to talk about a movie that will likely make close to a couple $1 billion rather than celebrate 100 million at the box office. This story comes from Boris Kitt over at The Hollywood Reporter. Since the climactic wrap-up of 2019's Avengers Endgame, which closed a chapter of the Marvel Cinematic Universe known as the Infinity Saga and grossed almost $2.8 billion worldwide, Marvel Studios has focused on introducing new heroes and pushing ahead with sequels starring some of its top characters. But as revealed by Kevin Feige at Marvel's Saturday presentation at San Diego Comic-Con, the Avengers are assembling once again with back-to-back movies set for 2025. And while there are many other movies that will hit before that, the studio is already moving ahead creatively with at least one of the super team tentpoles. Dustin Daniel Cretton, who helmed last year's Marvel hit Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings, has come aboard to direct Avengers: The Kang Dynasty. The Hollywood Reporter can exclusively reveal. Cretton is already well engrossed in the Marvel family, in addition to directing Shang-Chi, which grossed $432 million worldwide. He has an overall deal with Marvel that he signed in the wake of Shang-Chi's success. As part of that, he's developing, with Andrew Guest, a live-action series featuring Wonder Man that he will exec produce and possibly direct an episode or more of. He also has a Shang-Chi sequel in the works. Directing an Avengers movie is one of the most high-profile jobs in Hollywood. Joss Whedon, of course, helmed the first two Avengers movies. And then Joe and Anthony Russo filmed the epic two-parter Avengers Infinity War and Avengers Endgame. Two unbelievable, staggering success. So what do we think of the news to bring in the director of Shang-Chi here for what is arguably going to be a much bigger production than Shang-Chi was?
I personally am really looking forward to it. I really enjoyed the direction he took Shang-Chi in, and a lot of the visuals and ideas he brought to the screen really felt very much comic book based, and that's kind of what these movies are, obviously. So I'm looking forward to seeing what he does with the whole Avenger lineup, and also I'm looking forward to seeing how he explores Kang's character, because we saw that he had a way of telling Wenwu's story at the same time as Shang-Chi's story, and going back and forth kind of through the ages and stuff like that. And with Kang the Conqueror being the master of time travel, I think it'd be cool to see how he tells that story throughout this, epic battle of Avengers versus the Time Master type thing. And it leads me to wonder if he'll be heading up Secret Wars as well. Wondering if there's going to be, those two movies are going to be connected at all. I think it'd be interesting, again, very early on to see, but if he's involved with both, I have high hopes.
Yeah, see, I kind of agree with you and disagree with you, Darcy, on the aspect of wanting to be involved on both. Part of me wants that continuity, right? We've seen in our epic sagas in the past how damaging it can be to bring on one director, then a different one, then another one for a series of films. And that is what the MCU is, whether or not they're directly tied together or they are, they're all in the same universe. So for him to be doing Secret Wars, I think would be great from a continuity standpoint for the feeling and tone of the movies. The only thing that worries me is, and don't get me wrong, I don't know if I've seen enough of his movies to sort of make this call, but I'm just a little worried because you're right. During the very first half of Shang-Chi, he absolutely nails Wenwu and Shang's storyline to the point where you could see like a Kang dynasty, like an older Kang and a younger Kang and multiple of Kangs, but it's still central to the storyline of this main character of Kang. It does sort of worry me, because I think the second half of Shang-Chi, where he had to open up, he had to give us a story of Ta Lo, he had to give us a story of so much more going on, where the movie sort of loses its way. I'd be worried about him handling a Secret Wars where you've got to handle so many characters in a massive cast like that. That would be the only thing that would sort of hold me back from wanting him to direct that. So I'm kind of torn on that idea of him doing both. And I don't know. I am really excited though for what he can bring to at least Kang the Conqueror.
Yeah, and you kind of sold me on him, Darce, just in that I think the elements that did work really well in Shang-Chi are going to be important sort of story tentpoles for the Kang Avengers movie. But with Secret Wars, I think that's just such a huge project. I don't know if anybody can do it other than the Russo brothers coming back. And I know they've expressed interest in if Marvel were to have ever gotten to that point, which here we are in just a few short years, we'll be there. I think it's got to be the Russos again, just to sort of, they can manage 100 characters on screen all at once, and that's what it's going to take. That is no easy feat, that's for sure.
And I think they're a trusted brand. Even if the majority of the average casual Marvel fan doesn't necessarily know the name the Russo brothers. Here, seeing from the directors of Endgame, right? Like there you go. That's it. Everyone's already bought their ticket. I mean, it's Avengers. Everyone's already bought their ticket. But but to sell it even more, I think that's a great call. I will say, based on the past few things we've gotten from the Russo brothers outside the Marvel universe, I'm a little bit soured on their directing style. But listen, if they're going to give us Endgame 2, essentially, then I'm totally down for it. Even if it's, I can only imagine it's going to be bigger than Endgame. So.
Well, yeah, Darce, you're the comics guy. Is that a bigger sort of storyline than even?
The way that they're setting up Kang and then going right into Secret Wars is definitely comic inspired. A while ago, Marvel kind of blew up their whole universe and took what worked from all these universe and stuck them together in this battle world. And the person who was behind that was Kang the Conqueror, which then led into the more recent version of Secret Wars, where it was different universes battling to save their own universe and kind of find a place in the main timeline type thing. So definitely going to be connection between the two movies for sure. I'm wondering if we'll see in Kang Dynasty, the world, that timeline war come to such a point where he's going to have to step in and save what remains type thing. I think that would set up for the Secret Wars timeline, and again would be drawing heavily from the comics that recently came out, which seems to be the era that they're really looking to for a lot of inspiration in their recent movies.
And I do think it'll be interesting to see if DDC, as he's being called on Twitter, shows up on the set of Loki season 2. I think would make a lot of sense if we see him maybe direct an episode there. I think it would also make a lot of sense to see him on the set of Quantumania, or if we see behind the scenes footage of him working with Jonathan Majors there, because again, I think I love the idea of him sort of owning that character alongside Jonathan Majors. If he is going to be directing the Kang Dynasty, I want to see like a very, very strong through point through the MCU with that relationship, and I think it's going to happen. I think Marvel knows what they're doing, and I'm excited. I still can't get over like how much Marvel we have coming. It's like we're just completely spoiled. It'll never end, and I'm just so happy about it.
That's the crazy thing is, sure, we have to wait 3 years for the movies we're talking about to come out, but there's so much that's going to happen in between now and then. Something that's going to happen much sooner, although not as soon as we were originally hoping, is the Andor show from Disney Plus. This story comes from Maggie Levitt at Collider. During an interview with Good Morning America this morning to celebrate what would have been the launch month for Andor, Diego Luna revealed that the series has been pushed back to September to accommodate a 3-episode premiere, rather than the previously announced 2-episode premiere, which was set to arrive on August 31st. Now the Rogue One prequel series will debut on Disney Plus on September 21st. Andor is set during the early days of the rebellion and will focus on Cassian Andor's revelation that he can make a change in the galaxy. According to the official description of the series, it brings forward the tale of the burgeoning rebellion against the Empire and how people and planets became involved. It's an era filled with danger, deception, and intrigue where Cassian will embark on the path that is destined to turn him into a rebel hero. The shift makes sense when you look at the writers and directors attached to the first 3 episodes. Toby Haynes directed the first 3 episodes, with the series showrunner Tony Gilroy penning the scripts. Perhaps these first 3 episodes are so connected that the streamer decided it would be better to deliver a 3-episode premiere event. So we've sort of seen Disney Plus adjust schedules and whatnot in the past.
Yeah.
So obviously with the trailer coming out for the show recently, which we'll talk about in just a few minutes, I thought it looked great and got me very excited. So it's obviously a bit disappointing, but I always like to trust their judgment. And if they see the show working better with the 3-episode premiere, then I guess, it'll be worth the wait.
I think this makes a lot of sense. I think, we saw the overlap of Obi-Wan and Miss Marvel and what that did to Miss Marvel, unfortunately. And it's such a shame because I think, I don't know. It's a tough call to say which one is a better series, but I think it would have almost been the other way around between She-Hulk and Andor. I think maybe they were a little bit worried that She-Hulk would overtake Andor in this instance, and I definitely think that would be the case. Just given the popularity of Hulk and the Hulk brand and everything. So I think it's a smart call. I think this puts them, if my math is right, it's only the finale that we have to worry about in terms of them overlapping. But otherwise we we'll be in the clear. And it'll also, I think, it's a nice thing for us and for other press to cover it in and not have to do the double back-to-back thing again, because that's not the easiest thing for us to do with the weekly coverage. So I'm very happy that Disney did make this call. As much as I want to see this show, as much as I want to dive right into this story because I love Rogue One, I think this was a smart choice.
Yeah, and I definitely am thinking that everything you said there obviously makes sense, but I also feel like that pacing thing that Kevin brought up is also a factor they thought about, because at least from my point of view, one of the issues I have with a lot of these Disney Plus series is that the pacing feels so off, waiting for that week between to see the conclusion or whatever from the previous week's episode. So again, I'm hoping that these 3 are very interconnected and will feature will view as like a movie almost, a prequel series or prequel movie almost to the series that we're going to get in season 2 or later on in season 1 type thing. So yeah, to me, pacing, I think, makes the most sense to me in terms of why they'd want to, go 1, 2, 3 on one day.
And I think with 12 episodes in the season, I think that makes a lot of sense. It almost could have been. I almost wonder if they could have tried to do a full series release. I don't know what the production in terms of because I know sometimes Disney is like adding the last touches to these shows like the week it comes out. So I don't know what the production is like on Andor in that regard. But I'm wondering if Disney will ever, we're getting 2-episode drops, we're getting 3-episode drops. I'm wondering if Disney will ever play with the idea with one of these major series of doing a full season release. We got Daredevil coming up with Born Again with 18 episodes. I'm wondering if they do try the Netflix thing. I don't think it's the right idea, but I'm just wondering if that is something that they might ever attempt, just to see how it goes with some of this more binge-worthy content.
That will definitely be very interesting to see. Now, I was just looking it up because I was curious. We'll have 3 weeks of overlap, it looks like,
Oh,
between
damn.
She-Hulk and Andor. So it doesn't seem like they've completely avoided it,
Mhm.
but I think running the shows simultaneously, basically at the exact same time, yeah, Marvel and She-Hulk would have the clear advantage there. So a
Mhm.
little separation will probably help get a few more eyes on Andor, and hopefully it lives up to the expectations that we have. And so, of course, it's a bummer that the show's getting pushed back by about 22 days, considering how good the trailer looks. Speaking of which, I think it's time to shift gears because
It's trailer time.
all right, and so our first trailer is for the Disney Plus show Andor. Again, an upcoming television series created by Tony Gilroy for the streaming service Disney Plus. It's a prequel to the Star Wars spin-off film Rogue One. And in the series, it follows thief turned rebel spy Cassian Andor during the 5 years before the events of the film. Diego Luna executive produces and reprises his Rogue One role. Genevieve O'Reilly, Stellan Skarsgård, Adria Arjona, Denise Goose, Kyle Solar, and Fiona Shaw also star. Beginning 5 years before the events of Rogue One, the series follows an ensemble cast of characters during the time that a rebel alliance is forming in opposition to the Galactic Empire. One of these characters is Cassian Andor, a thief who becomes a revolutionary and eventually joins the rebellion. The first 12-episode season of Andor will premiere on Disney Plus on September 21st, 2022, with its first 3 episodes, as we discussed. And then the rest of the episodes will release weekly until November 23rd. A second 12-episode season is in development, which will conclude the series and lead right into the events of Rogue One. So, what are our thoughts on the official trailer and the vibe the show gives off?
Yeah, I mean, Darcy, I think we can sort of attest to the fact that this is a different trailer than we got at
100%.
Star Wars Celebration. This is very different, and I'm loving the look of it, the scale of it. I think it was recently revealed from series creator Tony Gilroy that the show was not shot on the volume, which makes this one of the first, or I guess the first, Star Wars live action series on Disney Plus that they didn't use the volume. For the most part, there might have been some areas, but most of these were shot on location. I think we see the Scotland Highlands in this trailer at the very beginning, and I just love the sense of scale like that. When that Star Destroyer comes over top, it's absolutely incredible because, I think we get a sense of how small the rebellion is at this point, but to literally see a massive ship dwarf the Scottish Highlands, I think only adds to that sort of visual of like, yeah, you're nothing. You are nothing. We don't even know you're there. And that obviously, I think in this series will work to their advantage. But yeah, man, so different. And the music, I think, was the other thing I wanted to just quickly shout out. Succession composer Nicholas Britell, I think, is such a fitting choice. The show's being described as a political thriller, so I think that makes absolute sense. And it was so different. Like that's the biggest word between, or the two words I think I would use with this trailer are different and mature. I think are the two things that I'm really getting from this series and from this trailer.
Yeah, I mean, Justin and I were talking about it off air, and we kind of concluded that it looks less Star Wars than I think anything we've seen,
Yeah.
in especially the Disney Plus or the Disney era of Star Wars. It looks almost very Blade Runner.
Oh yeah.
It's very sci-fi, but not just your typical Star Wars. And if I don't see a single lightsaber or mention of a Jedi at all, I'll be so happy that it'll truly be something different. Because
Yeah.
I think we need that, and I think the show will work better if it's focusing more on, your regular Joes doing things instead of these incredible heroes.
I think the fact that it's being called a political thriller or spy thriller or something like that will definitely speak to the fact that they don't have Jedi, because we know that Jedi at this point are still in hiding and thought to be extinct and stuff like that. So if we're focusing on what looks to be a couple senators, with Stellan Skarsgård's character looking like he also has a role in the Galactic Senate or whatever there, maybe this is going to be like the guys who realize what's going on is wrong, and their steps to put together this team that will become the rebels, which I mean seems really cool. I think there's a lot of parallels between Andor's character and Han Solo, obviously, being the smuggler who didn't want anything to do with the rebellion later on, and now we have a thief going through the same thing, except I feel like we're going to be seeing more of his journey from thief to the rebellion hero that he becomes in Rogue One. So I'm really looking forward to this series. Seeing Forrest Whitaker reprise his role as Saw Gerrera too. It's like I'm excited for that as well. Like the fact that a lot of these characters, we know how it ends for them. This story still excites me because it's a time of the Empire that is still very unexplored and new to us. So I'm looking forward to every second of it.
Well, seeing Saw Gerrera and his partisans and like that black looking X-Wing that's like all blacked out beside, I think Edrio Two Tubes or his brother or whatever standing there. Absolutely badass. I'm wondering if this is going to be where maybe whether it's this season or the next season where we get to see whatever accident happens to Saw Gerrera that causes his health decline and his breathing issues. And going back to the Senate, it's so funny that like we see an image of the Senate and it's like the one thing that Star Wars fans complained about the prequels for so long of like, oh, politics, the Senate, George Lucas, this is supposed to be for kids and he's talking about the Trade Federation. And yet we see the Senate and we're like, oh, it's the Senate. We're so excited. I do think it's really cool seeing that. I love how they've rebuilt it. I love how the Imperial logo is at the base of it. If you caught that, is really cool. It just goes to show that like Yoda and Palpatine probably had their fight, and then they like, well, while we're here, we might as well add the Imperial logo at the bottom. And so they cleaned it up a little bit. But I think you're right. I'm super stoked to see Mon Mothma, I think, in this show. I think she's going to be playing a major character, and I'm really excited to see how she deals with like. She's like right under the nose of Palpatine, and he's Force sensitive. And so whether or not we get to actually see him in this series, I don't know if they'll go that far or just imply his presence. But I do think that her journey is going to be really exciting because honestly, we outside of like the animated series, we haven't really gotten to spend a ton of time with Mon Mothma herself, and I think she has the opportunity to be a really compelling character.
Well, I just know that I'm a little disappointed that there's been no mention of Alan Tudyk yet. Maybe that's a season 2 thing,
right?
I don't think you can do this show without K2SO, and so hopefully something arises at some point.
There have been production stills of at least his droid type, so we know that they're going to be a part of this series. I'm almost wondering if like in the trailer, there's like a brief moment where we see like a factory line, so maybe they're building them there, possibly.
I mean, we also see Andor like saying he's sneaking in, he's right underneath their noses. So I wouldn't be surprised if one of these first missions that he runs for the rebels gets him this K2SO companion that he then goes on to go on all these rebel adventures with. I mean, definitely seems like there's an origin story for that character there too, because again, you can't tell a fun story without him. He was one of the best parts of Rogue One, and I hope to see some of that carry over to what could be a very otherwise dry and bleak political thriller series.
But I think it's going to be interesting for a lot of our Star Wars fans out there. I mean, Kevin, I think we've talked extensively about your feelings of some of the different movies where you felt like they weren't as much of a fun adventure. And I think fun is an element to Star Wars that a lot of people need. So I mean, I'm wondering just with the fact that this show is like, I think it'll still be Star Wars, but this trailer is giving so many vibes that it's going to be very, very mature, very dark, very different, and especially this where we are in the timeline. It's going to be tough to be cracking jokes around. So bringing a K2SO into the show as soon as they possibly could, I think would be a great call, because I think to get that fun adventure aspect to it, I think he's the only one that with his dry humor that we possibly could. But it's definitely, this is a transition. You know, I think it's even cool we get to see clone troopers at the beginning of this trailer, and then at the end of the trailer we're seeing stormtroopers, so I think we're going to literally get to see that side of things. And I just think I think this is going to give us almost like a Game of Thrones version of Star Wars, which is kind of what I wanted for the Boba Fett series. I thought we were going to get there. We talked about the fact that like, oh, what if they just drop the entire table of all the major players into the Rancor pit, and obviously that didn't happen, and that show got nowhere near as dark as I wanted it to. But I feel like with them showing all these different characters, I mean, you watch this trailer, Andor, Cassian himself gets like the least amount of dialogue. Like, we've got all these other major players with all these different lines of dialogue, and it's going to be exciting to see these characters on both sides. And I think that was my favorite thing about Rogue One, is the fact that we got to see the humanization of the ISB characters, or we got to see, maybe I wonder if we'll get to see anyone from the direct military boots on the ground, as maybe they flip sides or something like that would be really cool. And so I'm excited for it. Speaking of Game of Thrones, Anton Lesser, who plays Qyburn in Game of Thrones, is an ISB agent, which I think is absolutely perfect. Like, it's such a perfect casting. But yeah, man, I'm so excited. The battles in the sky, in the clouds. I think outside of that one episode of Mandalorian where he does that dope thing where Grogu throws up, we haven't really gotten to see too much of like cloud-based battles, which I don't know, man. It's so funny, the things that I get excited about at this point in my Star Wars life. But I can't wait, man. This trailer looked badass.
It does, and I think this is the perfect sort of opportunity to take a chance, because it's a prequel show. I don't think as much rests on the shoulders of the film really resonating with fans, because it's not like a franchise will be built from this. This is sort of a 2 seasons, and it's done, and it leads. So you can go a bit off the beaten path here and try something different, and it looks like they're going to do that. And so very, very excited for that.
I have one more thing before we move on. I'm so sorry. Rogue One honestly is so much better than Solo, and I no, but honestly, the Maz Kanata looking character near the end of the trailer, it's not Maz Kanata. I don't think it's her species. It kind of looked a little bit Ardenian with like the 4 different arms, but I don't think it was that either. But there's a character on the operating table, and it's not. But if you look at him, he looks so much like Cal Kestis. And then, like, is it him?
I mean, I got Cal Kestis vibes when they were at that scrapyard earlier in the thing, where the guys are wearing like almost the same gear that he wears, like his whole crew wears. But again, me and you could probably talk for a whole hour about that trailer alone. I'm sure Kev has some other trailers to talk about. So
fine.
Well, I assure you, I would much rather continue to talk about Andor, as I'm excited for that. And I am not so excited for the trailer for our next movie here. It is for Guillermo del Toro's Pinocchio, which is an upcoming stop-motion animated musical fantasy film directed by Guillermo del Toro and Mark Gustafson, based on Gris Grimley's design from his 2002 edition of the 1883 Italian novel The Adventures of Pinocchio by Carlo Collodi. It marks the animated feature film directorial debut of del Toro. The film was written by del Toro and Patrick McHale, and stars the voices of Ewan McGregor, David Bradley, Gregory Mann, Finn Wolfhard, Kate Blanchett, John Turturro, Ron Perlman, Tim Blake Nelson, Bern Gorman, Christoph Waltz, and Tilda Swinton. So just an absolutely stacked cast there. The movie is a retelling of the famous fairy tale about a wooden puppet who comes to life and dreams of becoming a real boy. It takes place in 1930s fascist Italy. When Pinocchio comes to life, however, he turns out to not to be a nice boy, but instead the opposite, causing mischief and playing mean tricks. But at its core, Pinocchio is a story of love and disobedience, as Pinocchio struggles to live up to his father's expectations, learning the true meaning of life. Pinocchio is scheduled to be released in select theaters in November 2022, followed by its stream release on Netflix in December. It's one of 3 2022 Pinocchio-based films, the others being Pinocchio: A True Story and the Disney live-action adaptation. So what did we think of the trailer here? I have to say, the art, I wasn't a huge fan of the art style here. I thought it looked ugly.
Really?
Just an ugly-looking movie.
I kind of feel like that's the point, though. I mean, you are not such a nice boy, Pinocchio. Like, I feel like that's what they're going for. I think they're going for the darker, the gritty. Guillermo del Toro, apparently, when the project was announced, he did like an interview, and he said it's like a passion project for him. He said that no art form has influenced his life or his work more than animation, and that no single character in history has a deep personal connection to him as Pinocchio. So with how much he's so into the character of Pinocchio, I think this is gonna be really good. I'm stoked for Ewan McGregor as Jiminy Cricket, being this sort of unseen narrator. I imagine he's gonna kind of help Pinocchio along with his journey, maybe in the moments where he can't talk yet or what have you. But I don't know, man. Like, if this is going to be a different telling than the one done by Disney, given that it's Guillermo del Toro, given that it's Netflix, I think, Darcy, you and I recently went on the ride Pinocchio at Disneyland, and I think we both came off that ride like, was that movie that dark? Like, I didn't remember it being that dark. So if the Disney version is that dark, Kevin, yeah, they're going to give us an ugly, gritty, dark, fascist 1930s look at Pinocchio, and I'm all for it, dude. Give me a different version of the story.
Honestly, I was pretty excited when I saw this trailer. I think I'm more looking forward to this one than the Disney release. And a lot of it comes from the fact that one of my favorite movies growing up was James and the Giant Peach. And the animation style of that movie really brings to mind what we're seeing in this trailer. So I am all for that style of stop motion, and I'm really looking forward to this telling, because again, it's a different story. So even like you mentioned, Ewan McGregor playing Jiminy Cricket, but that's not the name in the regular Pinocchio story. It's some other thing. So like this is completely
Ewan McGregor's actually playing Sebastian J. Cricket.
There you go.
Yes.
There we go.
And he looks so
like
different.
it's a completely different story than what we're used to. And I think, again, I know the story of Pinocchio as Disney knows it, so it'd be cool to see how Guillermo tells this story. So I'm really looking forward to it.
Yeah.
I think you guys are crazy. How could you not choose the one with Tom Hanks as Geppetto all day?
Because David Bradley as Geppetto sounds amazing.
Yeah.
I mean, give me Argus Filch or the head of the Frey family. Like, that is a Geppetto I want to hear.
I've always looked at David Bradley and thought, I want him to be a nice, fun uncle, grandpa guy. Like, but no, Guillermo del Toro has been trying to make this movie for 10 years, Kevin. 10 years.
Yes, I know. It was in development hell throughout the early 2010s.
Crazy.
And finally got on track. I mean, as great an idea as it is to have somebody like Ewan McGregor sort of be your narrator through the commercial, because it's just such a comforting voice that everybody knows and recognizes. Yeah. I do think they would have been better off showing off a bit more of the cast in that trailer. I think that might have helped get me more excited. Just looking at the IMDb page alone gets me a bit more amped up for it than the actual trailer. So I would say that's where it sort of misfired a little, just not showing off the awesome cast of actors you have going for it.
I find it funny that we're getting so much Pinocchio. Like, not only these movies, but recently one of my friends who's a big gamer was saying that she was looking forward to an upcoming game called Lives of P, or Life of P, and it's basically a Bloodborne style adventure game where you're playing as Pinocchio trying to battle your way through this clockwork Victorian era, and it's just a lot of love for Pinocchio going around right now, and I'm just wondering why that is.
Lies of P, I think is...
That's it, Lies of P, yes. It sounds really interesting, and I'm like, I am also excited for that too, I guess. I never thought I could be so excited for Pinocchio stuff.
Well, I'm honestly just waiting for the Pinocchio cinematic multiverse. I think get all these Pinocchios together, make a multiverse movie. I mean, are you listening, A24? Come on, Disney? Any of you, Marvel?
Talking to A24, there is a Pinocchio series where he's a vampire hunter, and it is an incredible comic book series. I highly recommend anyone checking that out. But again, there's so much Pinocchio out there.
Wait, he's a vampire hunter. Does he lie and then stake them with his nose?
Yes, he does. Yes, he does. The whole thing is that the trees that were used to make this puppet were at the foot of the hill where Vlad the Impaler was killed, and that gave him vampire slaying abilities.
That's incredible.
Pinocchio apparently is much loved by a lot of people. If there are this many iterations and tellings of his story.
Yeah, so, Kevin, get on the Pinocchio
train.
That's
the version I want to see.
Yeah, that'll do it.
Yeah.
That's the version I want to see. Staking them with his nose after a lie. That sounds awesome. It sounds like it might almost fit into our third and final movie that we're going to be talking about too. That's because our final trailer is for Spirit Halloween, the movie. Everybody wanted it. Here we are.
Oh, no.
It looks like something. It's an upcoming film directed by David Poag in his featured directorial debut. It's produced in partnership with the Spirit Halloween retailer. The film stars Christopher Lloyd and Rachel Lee Cook and follows three middle schoolers who find themselves locked in a Spirit Halloween store on Halloween night. Spirit Halloween, the movie, is set to be released on video on demand on October 11th, 2022.
Does it star Christopher Lloyd, though? Because I know he's in it for a scene, but, like, I don't think we're going to get...
his voice, I'm sure. We'll get his voice more than his face, I think.
This looks so, so low budget. Kevin, I know this was one you were like really excited for. You were really looking forward to it because you're such a big
fan. This is what I
fan.
expected it to be, to be fair. I mean, for me watching that trailer, it was really cool because I'm like, ooh, I actually have that animatronic.
Right.
Ooh, I've considered buying that one. So I think for myself, the attention to detail of like, because I spend so much time in those stores for a couple months a year, that'll be neat to see. But in terms of anything else, this does look like a big old stinker.
Like kids, let's put these kids on a bike for a scene. Okay, great. We've covered Stranger Things audience. We got them. Okay. Like let's have this set in the Spirit Halloween stores. Like I think to me, it looked like an elongated advertisement for Spirit Halloween. That's the kind of the quality that I got from it. I'm honestly, it kind of feels like a wasted opportunity because, like, don't get me wrong. Like, I think those stores have, for a lot of folks, it's like that's the Halloween place. That's where we get our Halloween stuff. And for some kids, that could be like a fun thing to do every Halloween. We get to go to the Spirit Halloween store, and I feel like this is kind of a wasted opportunity. I was kind of hoping they would go a little more creative. Like, I feel like Kevin, you could write a better movie than what I've seen in this trailer. Like, they could have like established like the mythology of why the store is always appearing in abandoned pharmacies and LCBOs, and like we could take the staple decorations that you love and that you recognize and make them into these characters that have an actual sort of canon or myth to them. Instead, we're getting 4 teenagers fighting Halloween decorations the entire time, and like Christopher Lloyd's at the beginning of the movie, so you'll come see the movie. Like, I don't know, man.
Yeah, that's very much what it feels like. Although, if you've seen any of the advertisements or Twitter videos that Spirit Halloween puts out, the production here, this looks Academy Award worthy in comparison. So, yeah, unfortunately, that doesn't say much about the stuff Spirit Halloween generally puts together.
Yeah. Honestly, I'm not the biggest Halloween fan. I refuse to go around your house because you have an animatronic clown that terrifies me. So this one is probably one I'll probably not go to see in theaters. But the vibe I got from the trailer, at least, seemed like it was very much like an 80s or 90s just kid adventure. Like that was the vibe they were going for, and they nailed it. I'm just not sure if that's a story we kind of need right now. Again, I think, Nate, the mythos behind why it comes and goes would be a lot more interesting than what we're getting to seem to be like someone died here and then the store came and now he's just possessing all these toys. Like, it seems like they were just trying like, oh, we need to do this. Like you were saying, we need to check these boxes. How do we go about doing that the easiest way?
Like to the point where I could almost imagine Spirit Halloween doing a little bit more marketing for this and putting out like, here's the shirt that the character, or here's the costume packs of each of the characters, and like some mom in a spirit house. Oh, honey, what about this one? Like from the movie we went to go see. No, I don't want to do that, Mom. No, like they're not even going to get that. They're not even going to get the kids wanting to dress up for this movie. And again, how cool would it have been if they made up their own, even if they made up their own new characters that sure they could sell as decorations afterwards, but this just really felt like they just didn't do a lot creatively. And I'm not saying that because it's a smaller budget that they couldn't. Like, they absolutely could have been more creative with it. The creativity doesn't cost, well, it can in some instances, but for the most part, it doesn't cost that much more money to maybe create some of these characters. And you could even do no CGI, I think would have been even cooler, because again, it feels more like Halloween costumes. Like, I just don't know who do they, what? Why am I writing? I'm not a movie writer. Like, come on. Like, what? I didn't like the trailer.
It definitely has a like earnest, scares, stupid vibe to it. It just seems very, I don't think a lot of thought went into it. It was, how can we make some money exploiting the name Spirit Halloween? And here we are. That said, I will be watching this thing on October 11th, 2022. I will be watching it the day it comes out. I can't wait to hear about it. It's a video on demand, so I will let everybody know in a Whatcha episode what I thought of that, as I doubt we'll have a full review dedicated to it. But speaking of Whatcha, I think it's time we move on and maybe allow you guys to talk about some things you've watched or read or played recently that you actually did enjoy, unlike watching that trailer. Who wants to go first?
I've been on a bit of a gaming kick recently. I picked up, or I upgraded my PlayStation Plus to the second tier so I could get access to some of that game catalog, mainly so I could play the game Stray.
Yeah.
That is I'm not sure if you know about the game, Kev, but you play as a cat in the cyberpunk world, and it is so heartwarming. I really enjoy it. I spent hours playing it last night. I'll probably pick up the controller for a few more hours tonight. But yeah, that, and then another game I got off that the PlayStation upgrade was Thomas Was Alone, and it's just a lovely little platformer game, puzzle platformer with a bunch of colorful rectangles that have personality. And I never thought I'd love a game like that so much, but I really care for these colored rectangles.
Yeah, Thomas Was Alone is, again, like, what how can you create incredible depth for characters that are literally squares? Like, I think the people from the Spirit Halloween movie trailer could really learn a lot from Thomas Was Alone. Yeah, dude, I really dig play Thomas Was Alone. But Stray, yeah, man, like, what an adorable main character in, like, one of the most depressing worlds ever, because it gets so dark, it gets so bleak and so sad at times with all these robot characters that you're talking to. Oh yeah, absolutely. But then you're like a little cat, and then you scratch the walls and you like purr, and like, dude, honestly, I literally was like feeling really sleepy one time while I was playing it, and I just put the cat to sleep. The cat, you can make it go to sleep and just purrs, and then the DualSense controller kind of vibrates to the purring, and I just put that on my chest, and I was like, I feel like I'm just chilling with a little cat right now. It's so lovely. So lovely.
That's adorable.
Yeah.
That's adorable. Those sound great. I might have to check those out. Nate, how about yourself? What you been up to?
Speaking of adorable, I watched all of Centaur World on Darcy's suggestion. Centaur World, if you're not aware, is a series that I think came out in 2021, and it's got 2 seasons. So I watched both seasons. First season was great. Second season, not as great. I don't know if they knew that they were doing a second season when they wrapped the first season, and that might be a little bit of the disconnect. But I will say, like, if you like musicals and you like Adventure Time, this show is so fun. It's just such a lighthearted, you put it on for 20 minutes while you're having a quick meal, and you'll just kind of smile and giggle while you're watching it. Kimiko Glenn, who was in one of my other watches for Liza on Demand, who plays Harlow in that YouTube series, she's the main character of Horse in this show, and in Lies on Demand, there's a musical episode, and I was watching it, and I'm like, holy crap, this Kimiko girl can really sing. And so then to see her show up in Centaur World, I was so happy. And by the second song, I was like, this is like musical theater level style of music, and it's really fun. I highly recommend it. It's not really for kids. I think there's some jokes in it that kind of go a little bit like a little too far sometimes, but yeah. Did you watch any more of it, Darcy?
I've only finished the first season, and I basically, when you said Adventure Time, that's how it was pitched to me.
Yeah.
I would make an addendum to that. It's all the weirdest parts of Adventure Time,
that's true.
basically,
Yeah.
because some of it is just bit like, I need to watch something else because I can't really wrap my head around what just happened in this cartoon show with centaurs. It's again, it goes a bit too far sometimes, but it's also, that's kind of the charm of the show, is that it doesn't know when to stop. And again, with the incredible music, you're like, I'm okay with it. It's a very weird show to watch. Kev, I definitely think you would hate it.
Yeah, Kevin, it's not
Yes,
a you show.
Sounds very much not a
But
me
when
show,
Flula
yes.
Borg shows up as a Moltar, which is a mole centaur, it's just fantastic. It's just like one of those things. Like, Kevin, maybe if you had a little bit of Stony Baloney, like a little bit of something, you might enjoy it. Maybe, I don't know. But it's fantastic.
No, I think I'll leave that one to the pros there, and I'll let you guys enjoy that one. Alrighty, well, that's it for This Week in Geek. Thanks for tuning in wherever you listen to podcasts. If you haven't already, be sure to subscribe and leave us a glowing review. We always appreciate the love. Hope you enjoyed it, and if you did, make sure to subscribe to us wherever you like to listen to podcasts if you haven't already. And if you want to write into the show with your thoughts on this week's news or trailers, You could reach us at wearegeekcentric@gmail.com, or if that's a bit too much, like a dated-looking stop-motion version of Pinocchio,
Rude.
hit us up on Twitter at GeekcentricYT and on Instagram at wearegeekcentric. As always, we have plenty of awesome content to check out. The recent San Diego Comic-Con was a geeky delight with a ton of news, trailers, and a little bit of something for everyone. Check out our 2 episodes where we discuss all of the details and share what we're most excited for coming out of the convention. Plus, we always have reviews coming your way. Check out our spoiler-free reviews for the Netflix movies The Gray Man and Rise of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, the movie, as well as our review for the first season of the Apple TV Plus show Surface. We also have our reviews for Netflix's The Sandman and for Hulu/Disney Plus's Prey coming your way very soon. But until next time, Nate, Darcy, thanks for joining me for This Week in Geek. And as we say,
Love ya.
get home safe, guys.
Laters.